would record you. Yeah, we have two apartments. One is closer to Rob, so when we're biking together, I'm close, and one a little bit further.
Oh, really?
Just the rich kid on the block.
Yeah.
Oh, there's
The,
yeah.
uh,
There's Ruben
There's
and
Menachem
Megan.
Mendel, hello.
Hi, how
the
are you?
rich kid.
I couldn't figure out, I got confused. I said, wait a minute. My wife said, wait a minute, is it Tuesday today? I said, no, it's Wednesday. And then
No,
Rob says, wait a minute,
Thursday.
it's Thursday actually. And then I see a message from Menachem Mendel, are we meeting today? I said, so wait a minute, what's going on? That's
Yeah, what
Wasn't
is
me.
going on?
This is Adrian. This is not me. You started it.
No. It goes like this. Lev and I Lev and I started meeting together by ourselves. And then I joined the Tuesday thing. So I said to Lev, are we meeting today? Which is our usual thing, just the two of us.
uh-huh.
And I'm happy. I don't mind if there's more to discuss.
And I know what happened, Andrea, because it came in the Perplex. It didn't come to me on my own WhatsApp. It came through Perplex. So I assume
that's why I was confused.
you're referring to the group.
It doesn't matter. Anyway, what happened? It's gone.
We're together. That's what matters now.
Yeah, but where did it go? Something's missing. I don't know what. Hold on. Something just shut down here.
I can
Oh, no,
hear
there
you.
it is.
I can hear you and I can see you.
Yeah. It's funny. I just finished a meeting of a group in America, and the woman was speaking from Hong Kong. It was hard to understand her, but they have a difficult life there. She's a scientist there, and very, very difficult in Hong Kong. And they have difficult lives now with the Chinese government. Actually, I don't know any government that's good anymore.
That's right. Very confusing. So what are we going to talk
next
about
to all
today,
of
guys? This is our on schedule, just open format and whatever. I sent the email. I don't know if you saw my email. I was very upset with myself. I shared some of that to Robert because I felt that I was very impolite and rude to David. Maybe not rude, but inconsiderate. So I sent him a couple of apologies. I didn't hear back from him. I hope he'll forgive me. But that prompted me to think we have to have some guidelines. And I have some thoughts about it. If you want to hear my thoughts, I will, but I would rather not be verbose, trying to learn not to be verbose and let others talk. And I will try to do more listening than talking.
Well, my thoughts are these, is that everybody involved in this group are interested, otherwise they wouldn't be members of the group. And as a result of that, sometimes the enthusiasm or passion gets too strong. And some people are quite good at speaking and staying succinct, and some people don't, and they repeat themselves and so on and so forth. Of course, it's harder if we're conversing in English and it's not the native language. So I just think that we have to self-regulate, and those people who are not so good at self-regulating, we must have a little signal flag. You hold it up and it says, you know, because otherwise, because I personally don't think we accomplished anything last time. In the meantime, I've done a lot of reading about Maimonides, and it's very fascinating and so on. And we didn't have a chance to cover any of that. So I just think we have to, and if it's, I know Lev doesn't want to be the ringmaster, but after all, it's his, to begin with, it's his group, and therefore he should just say, you know, slow down or enough or something. Otherwise, we don't get anything accomplished. So today is Thursday. Tuesday, we accomplished nothing. And I don't know how you're going to regulate it, but we have to do that.
Yeah, you posted something on WhatsApp to look at, just about some ideas I thought was very good. I read an article a few weeks ago about keeping things you know, what's the right word? Considerate, when you're talking about the three things where one is cultivate self-awareness. You have to be humble about your own biases. And when you do that, encourage other people to be more, more vulnerable and honest. Also, people who are getting all upset means that they're hurt. There are things that are bothering them and they're hurting, and you're not going to get anywhere with them by hurting them more or yelling at them or arguing with them. And the third was prioritize your relationships. Make the relationships the main thing, not trying to convert people. Don't try to convert people. It's better to actually just find areas where you have agreement and then move on from there. I think particularly David got a little upset because the very thing that led him originally not to become part of Judaism was he thought it was too mystical and too pie in the sky, imaginary. And he finally found a teacher who he felt was more rationalistic, and he felt he could relate to that. And then we start challenging him because he doesn't accept that the Zohar was written by Avram Avinu. I think, that's exactly the thing is going to press his buttons, so to speak. And, just nagging on him about it, it's a complete waste of time.
No, you're right. You're right. But on the other hand, it shouldn't all fall on us not to hurt him. I don't want to set out to hurt anyone. But on the other hand,
he's a little bit hypersensitive,
but on the other hand, he has to have some, what's the word? Insight and self-awareness. So, and it became ridiculous after a while. I was reading up about Rambam and Kabbalah, and the truth is the Kabbalah whenever it was published, it didn't just appear. People had been thinking about those sort of things for a long time, and so even if the Zohar was published 50 years, 100 years after Rambam's death, the ideas were not spontaneous. They were being fermented over quite a period of time. And so
it was a tradition not to pass it down in writing, only to give it within a select inner circle of the initiated. So for sure, for a long time, it's just like the Mishnah and the Talmud. It wasn't written down until much later.
Right, but the ideas had been circulating. So anyway,
Sure.
But the point is that saying, my fist is bigger than your fist is really pointless. And unfortunately, David gets very carried away. And it's like anything that you're really interested in, for him, it was an epiphany on the road to somewhere or other, road to Eilat or road, I don't know, then people tend to get carried away. And that's, we have not to get carried away. You say, all right, I believe it was X, you believe it was Y. I'm not going to convince you, you're not convinced me. So let's talk about something that is more productive. And unfortunately, David had a difficulty with that. So
Menachem, what do you think?
Yeah, I think, it's all about what it comes down to is intellectual honesty and self-awareness and being aware of what you know and you can elaborate on and explain, and what you don't know and what you believe and what you think, and just knowing where the information stands in your mind. And if someone challenges you and asks you, you should just be confident to explain or to answer, this is something I believe and I don't have an explanation for it, or this is something that I perhaps think, and they can try and explain the explanation for it, and it can be challenged, and it shouldn't be anything that to be taken personal. It's not an emotional thing. This is more of a intellectual discussion. Yeah.
But Menachem, you're right. But what was in dispute the other day was whether the Zohar was known or not known. And, those are not beliefs. That's sort of say, well, we don't know how much was known 50 years before. And you can't go further than that because...
Right. So that has to be agreed, though, that's what if someone claims that they have some kind of proof that this is truth, someone to come and claim that something is true, that's a big claim. You need something to back that up. You can't just, I'm telling you 100% truth, the world is flat. You can say that, but no one's going to take you seriously unless you have some kind of proof.
Yeah, but even if you have proof, it has to be proof that is watertight. Another person will accept.
Exactly.
Well,
I don't have that. I mean, the only thing I can tell you, I know for fact, is that this morning the sun came up. Now, I'm hoping it's going to come up tomorrow, but I can't be sure about that until tomorrow. And those are the few facts we have on planet Earth that we know about. And if you're going beyond that, you say, I think this was such and such, and then you discover someone found something else in a cupboard or somewhere, it gets ridiculous and it wastes time.
But what you guys talking about, I 100% agree. You talk about substance of the conversation. My concern was on a different way. Here it is. I interacted with the individual, and the result of my interaction, for whatever reasons, he walked away offended and hurt. That is my problem. That means it doesn't matter what view the person has. I should be sensitive enough to know when to stop pushing. And what's more important to me? To prove that Zohar was written such and such time, that Rabbi Yochanan is right or not, or that another person who I physically know, I see every day, feels comfortable and good and happy. I really think it's more important for me that people I talk to are happy and more nourished and more than to prove them that 2,000 years ago, Moses was standing on the right foot or the left foot.
I agree with that entirely, except each of us have a responsibility about our own emotions. So yes, you're right. If you press him 10 times and it makes him unhappy, that's not so good. But on the other hand, you felt the need to press him more times because he was eingespart, coming back the opposite.
But I didn't have a need to press. I get carried away. I lost control of myself. I should have sensed earlier enough.
Yeah, okay, that's good. That's very nice. It's very civilized and so on. But the other person also has a responsibility. Anyway, we just have to work out when we see that happening, we just have to say, hold on, stop.
Well, that's why
I tried to tell Lev yesterday. I tried to tell Lev that he should back off and let David talk, but he was in, he had his foot on the accelerator.
Both of them did.
I think there's another element to it, which is, I guess with all of us, in general, when people speak to each other, it's better to be, I've learned this from my own personal mistakes in my own life. It's better to be, the people should be happy than to be right. And sometimes if you see someone's getting too emotional and you realize that logic is not going to work over there, logic works against logic and emotion works against emotion. But if logic against emotion doesn't work, so if you see someone's being emotional, any kind of rationalization is not really going to overcome that. So it's just like someone just mentioned to me that said, if you want to know what infinite is, just observe human insanity. And sometimes you just got to, if people are just being emotional without any rationalization, you just got to sit back and let it be. And
I think Menachem, what also happens is the extent of, think about it. I didn't call this group perplexed friends, although friends is also sometimes the chavrutas is a term used in Kabbalah and whatnot, because I was talking to my wife today. My wife always puts, as Adrian says, puts 100,000 volts to my shoulders to knock me down a little bit, and she keeps me in check a little bit. So what I was thinking is, to which extent we know each other. Like I have a feeling that I know a little bit about you guys, and I like you, but I also know I don't know you for all our lives. And if I would tell to any of you, I see things a little bit differently. I respect your views and I would respect mine. I might be wrong, but this is how I see it. You probably will not be angry at me. But if I say, Menachem, knock it off, this is a bunch of baloney. But I can say, wait a minute, Lev, that's not a good language. But my friend, Victor, with whom I went to college together, and we talk periodically. We don't spare each other's feelings, not because we don't like, not because we don't care, because if Victor tells me, not, but like we're talking about Torah with Victor in our Russian classes. And Victor learned that he is Jewish when his mother was about to pass away, and she told me, you're Jewish. Very interesting. So he was in shock. So he's very quickly coming up to the Jewishness right now in his 60s. And I kind of teach him a little bit, and he's such a quick learner. And every so often he said, Lev, knock it off. That's not good arguments. Come on, what are you talking about? And I don't take offense at all, because this is my friend who I know for 40 years, 50 years. And if he tells me this language, I don't pay attention to the form of his conversation. I pay attention to what he says. So we cover a lot of territory quickly. Victor, come on, this is crazy idea. What are you talking about? But he knows it's not personal. But if I say this to somebody who doesn't know for that long, it will be insensitive. People don't know.
Well, I would answer something to that, which is there's a difference between a personal attack and an attack on the actual concept under discussion. And I think as long as the concept under discussion is what's being attacked, there shouldn't be, I don't see why any emotion should be brought into it. As soon as it becomes personal to say you're speaking nonsense, you're going to have to elaborate on that and explain the rationalization behind it. Just saying a statement like you're being emotional without explaining it, you're shifting the conversation from a topic under discussion to now becoming a personal attack.
No, but Menachem, the trouble is, you're absolutely right. The trouble is that sometimes a topic is so dear to someone's heart that if you criticize the topic, they feel, that you're
personally criticized.
That maybe you're criticizing them, but if something I believe in, and you tell me that subject has no basis to it and so on, then if it's something that's part of my life, then I could get upset that I'm being. Let me give you another way. I think that cropped up between myself and my late wife many years ago in America was she would watch certain television programs to relax. And I would come in and say, how can you watch that rubbish? And that was terrible because it meant that somehow rather her intellect wasn't up to mine, that if I thought it was rubbish and what she was doing was watching it just as a, something easy to watch. And I was saying, look, how can you watch something that's so stupid? And that's my way of saying to her, in her opinion, I think you're stupid, but I wasn't. Right. I just didn't understand how on earth you can spend time on that. Now,
David said something like that to us. He said, that anybody believes that's sort of like ridiculous and silly, superstitious. It's
but you see, so what I'm saying, there's two different ways of offending someone. You can say, how can you watch that stuff? It's so stupid. Or you can say, I think that concept is stupid or has no basis to it. And so even though you're not criticizing the person, like Menachem says, indirectly, they feel you are. And so their perception is that you are criticizing them.
But I will say, Adrian, to your point, I bet when you first met and the first date with your wife, you would not make this comment to her if you happened to watch television on the first date.
No. It was the second date. Actually, we were married then about maybe 25 years or I don't know exactly.
So see,
but for example, right now, there are programs on the television here that Trisha likes to watch. One in particular, I absolutely can't understand it. It was a program in America called The Apprentice, which was with your favorite person, Mr. Trump. Here, it's a very funny. There is an apprentice program here, and the funny thing is, the man who runs it is
Jewish guy.
It's Alan Sugar. I don't know if you know.
Yeah.
Jewish, yeah. And Alan Sugar is been very successful. They made him a lord, but I tell you something funny. He's an out-and-out mumser because he used to be an employee of an electronics or electrical firm that made very, very good quality sound equipment. And he ended up cheating the man out of the business, and he married his daughter. This is very funny. But I knew him because he used to come into my father's shop in the East End and sell him plugs and wire and all this stuff. And so when I see this man on the television now, I said, but he is an absolute scoundrel. And Trisha watches it because it's relaxation, but I can't say a word because then I'd say, you know, I'm now back 20 years ago doing the same mistake. So I just, I sit there and I think it. Anyway.
Another thing I came across recently is the Socratic method. Whereas if you strongly disagree, or if you disagree with someone in general, instead of telling them straight out, I disagree with you, just ask them questions about it. Like being defensive if someone asks you a question, I think is the issue is on the person. You know, that I don't think anyone should be offended if someone asks them a question. I think the issue is on themselves if they get offended by someone asking them a question.
So
Yeah,
you
yeah.
ask it.
It depends
You
what
can
you're
ask
right.
a question very, you know,
Right.
sort of humbly and not offensively, or you can ask a really sharp, pointed question that'll put people's teeth on edge.
But I'm not sure that's
right,
a good
100%.
example, because, you know, they killed Socrates in the end because he offended them. And you know how they
Practice what you
killed
preach,
him?
huh? It's there's one thing knowing it, there's another
Poison.
thing practicing it.
You know how they killed Socrates?
He drank poison.
No,
No?
they made him go in a field, or he decided to go in this field of beans, favor beans. Reuven will know what I'm talking about. And he had a
E6PD?
genetic defect. He had a genetic defect in his red cells that did not detoxify a certain substance. So when he went into the field of the favor beans, I actually like favor beans. When he went into the field of favor beans, the air was full of the scent or the pollen of these beans.
That wouldn't do it. That wouldn't do it. That wouldn't do it.
Wouldn't do
No,
it.
you have to eat him. You have to eat him.
Oh, that apparently they said that he's, you know, well, maybe he nibbled.
What about this story about hemlock?
Yeah, the Google says hemlock. He drank a cup of
hemlock. Well, who was it who ran through the favor beans? And it was not Socrates; it was someone else.
I think that
Anyway.
was the lion in the through the flower fields for the Wizard of Oz.
No, we're getting off.
He ran through the field and fell asleep.
Yeah, but it was so the favor beans. Even if I wouldn't do it anyway. I like favor beans actually. It's very funny.
But this
You know,
is
we've got
There's a fair number of Israelis who have a G6PD. It's much more common in the Mediterranean area.
Yeah.
I never saw it in the States. And at the Air Force Base, I see it at least every few weeks. I see somebody who has G6PD.
Really?
Yeah. At least 1 or 2 a month.
Pythagoras believed that favor beans could contain the soul of the dead. Is that what we would? Is that it?
I'm not sure. I just
Pythagoras, that a squared plus b squared equals c squared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just going over that last night doing math homework. My daughter was taking algebra.
But it's only true. What is it? It's only true for a to the n equals b to the n plus c. Only true when n equals 2.
You know, guys. I was gonna. I'll take a minute to say. I was gonna.
That Fermat's last theorem.
Yes.
That was actually solved. It's very complex.
That's right. It's solved. It's solved. Yeah,
complex proof.
Beautiful book about it, actually. I must look up favor beans.
I was going to mention there's something interesting today, guys. Just when I was contemplating my, like I was upset about my behavior, I came across the shiur. I listen every day to shiur with my rabbi from Atlanta, Rabbi Friedman. And I used to attend it, but now after Aliyah, I listen still on Zoom. And he happened to say something. He's very strict and he's very focused. Doesn't waste any time. Very, very efficient. So he got off tangent just a little bit, and he talked about the conversation was, we're learning Masechta Shavuot right now, and there was conversation when Rav, Shmuel, and someone else was discussing something. The question came up from audience, who are these Rav and Shmuel? And he explained that. And then he touched on a point that Rav Yochanan and Reish Lachish, as you know, good friends. Reish Lachish saw Rav Yochanan's sister, and Rav Yochanan was very beautiful. He said, you're so beautiful, so I would like to marry your sister. So he said, if you study Torah with me, I'll give you my sister for wife. So they get married, and they were very good friends, Reish Lachish and Rav Yochanan. That's third generation Amoraim. They're very friendly, very good friends. And Reish Lachish died, and after that, Rav Yochanan was praying to God that he give me Chavrusa who would argue with him. They were very good friends, never agree on one thing. If Reish Lachish says to the left, Rav Yochanan says it must be to the right. Never
I
agree.
got cherries, I got strawberry. It'll
So,
be okay.
Yeah,
so yeah, one likes strawberry, another one likes cherry, and that will be okay. And then, and after that, he was praying, and he said he was getting a lot of students, and he says, I don't want the students, everything I say, they agree with me. Everything I say yes, sir, yes, sir. He says, I want to have a Chavruta who disagree with me. If I can't have Chavruta who disagree with me, I'll rather be dead. And sure enough, he died short after that. So very good friends could argue, but in order for them to do that, they have to be very good friends. They have to come to the point that they know each other. And that's the purpose of the discussion, to get to the truth. Our group is not quite that yet. We didn't gel enough. I like our diversity, but like I said, I'm just repeating myself. We have to be careful. I have to be careful not to assume if I say something a little bit too harsh or people won't take it personally. I want people to get to know, I think we have to be just like Adrian. You didn't have to be as careful as your wife to say, honey, what are you looking at this stupid movie? You would never say it on the first date, but you know with time, she knows you love her. You know you don't tell
You
it to her.
could say it on the first date, but it would also be the last date.
It's lust. So that's
That's
why I
also
send
the element of
that's why I send this email to you guys with everybody to hopefully with some rules. I think the rules probably a little bit, maybe we don't even need any rules, but I sent to see what you think. Maybe you can modify them, delete them completely, add to them. And I think to me, the main rule is a tolerance. My opinion personally, I don't know enough. I mean, I go by the Torah. Torah tells me, be humble. Assume, Pirkei Avot says, consider yourself not so smart. Consider yourself, others might know more than you, at least some area more than you. That's the position I personally take. So somebody comes to me, tells me something opposite to me, my first reaction is, what am I missing in my logic? Am I missing something? So, but I like to give another person the benefit of the doubt, but sometimes I lose control because I happen to be temperamental guy, and I also, as an engineer, very analytical. Sometimes I get carried away and go to the mode of debate, which my wife tells me it sounds like I'm pushing, I'm forcing my opinions onto somebody. That's not my intent. My intent is just to understand exactly what the person is saying, but it comes off emotionally and disrespectfully. And that's something I want to learn. So you guys periodically kind of give me 110,000 votes so I can just, oh, sorry, okay, let me rewind the tape.
Yeah, well, the idea is to just stay away from being dogmatic. That's the goal.
No, you're right, Menachem, but you know what? If you see after the second time you say, look, it's X is equals to Y, and the person has accepted, you're right. You can't fight logic with emotion and emotion with logic. You know, that's it. And if you're trying, you say, you know, now what I have, for example, in that discussion is I afterwards went and I looked to see reading about Rambam and Kabbalah and everything, and there's no way of proving it because, you know, as I said before, the Kabbalah may have been written down at a certain time, but the ideas were circulating for quite a while. So it's conceivable that he did think of it, he didn't think of it, you know. After a while, there's no point in arguing anymore, you know. Black is black and white is white, and you can't keep doing that. So, but yeah.
But
So
it's
somebody's
interesting,
got to tell
but
them.
to your point, Adrian, in fact, the fact that Moses de Leon found the book somewhere, or he bought it, somebody bought it from his widow and published it, which became Kabbalah, that became Zohar essentially. It's even that is only shared by a certain group of people. There are people who don't agree with that. Some people
Yeah, yeah.
believe that Shimon Bar Yochai didn't write it, Rabbi Abba. There was a 10 major Kabbalists. Rabbi Abba was right-hand man of Shimon Bar Yochai, in addition to Rabbi Eliezer, his son. And he was writing everything. I happened to be at the grave of Rabbi Abba, Rabbi Hia, Kabbalists in Tzafat. I was very interested in this subject. And there's some people that believe that actually Rabbi Abba was writing that, and that is approximately 3rd century, because Shimon Bar Yochai is a student of Rabbi Akiva. So what Shimon Bar Yochai learned is not everything in a cave in which he sat for 13 years, but from his teacher Rabbi Akiva. And Rabbi Akiva eventually got it also from going back to ultimately to Ezekiel, and Ezekiel before that. So the development of Kabbalah, then was a break several years. In the 9th century in Iraq, Kabbalists existed and they published certain things. Even before, as Adrian put it, some bits and pieces of that. So there's a many, not just one or two, many views based not what they feel, but historical evidence and writings in various books, which way Kabbalah evolved. I happen to not know enough of any of the developments. I only know superficially, but I do know the fact that there's more than one opinion how that created. So if somebody comes and tells me, Lev, there's only one view, that's what happens, I have to say respectfully, well, you feel it's a one view, but I know about 7 of those views. Which of those you're right, I don't even know, but I just know the fact there's more than one view.
Right. So just to add to that, there's look, in general, humanity has an issue with history. If you want to really look at it, we can't even prove what happened 5 minutes ago. You can prove, from your own personal experience, and you can believe, but we know that our senses lie to us, our sight, our sense, our smell, and even our hearing. You remember that is the dress gold or is it blue? And in this sound, did it say this or did it say that? All these things that went round so our senses can lie to us. So even then, how can we know 100% what's true? So people look for, if this academic said it, I trust this academic, therefore it must be true. And in science, they have the science method, which, is true until proven otherwise, or it's a theory until proven otherwise. So within Judaism, there's also, we try and look at whoever the most respected rabbi is or opinion, and we trust if he says this is true, then we will trust that therefore this is true. And in the academic world, they say if this academic is respected, then we trust his judgment that therefore this is going to be true. And everyone in their own life, in their own way, that they have their way of deciding what they're going to believe in and what they're not going to believe in. But ultimately, everyone believes in something. Even atheists believe that God doesn't exist. They can't prove it. So that's what it comes down to, I think, the core of it.
Yeah. It's funny what Trisha says sometimes when I'm arguing about certain things. She says, everybody draws their own line. And I said, yes, but in your case, the line is not only wavy, but it has holes in it. Yeah. Anyway, look, it's good. So look, let's see what happens in the future. And when it goes a little too far, we learn how to stop it. That's all.
I personally think, guys, we're evolving naturally. And I know that I in communications, people who listen to our recordings, and they kind of always say maybe too shy. Not everybody is as brave as we are, sort of face to face to say our views. Some people are watching, but they choose not to come in. But my feeling personally, guys, I would say, we're creating a messianic times, because basically,
really?
Yeah, I think our group is microcosmos of ultimately how Jews must live and behave. We have people, when you think about our group, diversity of backgrounds, diversity of views, religious, political, social, whatnot, and yet we can talk like we're talking right now with a love and respect and understanding of each other. And this is ultimately what we want to, what I think that Mashiach is waiting for. I think Mashiach is saying to humanity, do I have to do everything? Are you waiting for me to come and do it? Just can't you fix something? No, we don't go by this minhag because we have to get the prayer book, start from page number 43. No, 43, God forbid, we have to start from page number 46 because Rabbi Yochanan said this. And if you guys don't understand it, you don't know. Just get along, knock it off a little bit. So when we're creating exactly, I think, what humanity has to arrive to, whether you're religious, non-religious, observant, non-observant, do you believe the earth is flat, around? The Torah was given to us 23 years ago during the Sinai campaign by the Israeli army against Egyptian tanks, or 3,500 years ago. In the end of the day, okay, we have our beliefs, we share them, we have the reasons and basis for that, but we all get along. Reuben and I go on a bicycle rides a couple times a week. And I have to say, we have a great love and respect for each other. And I ask him, and if Reuben, he's very polite, he will not never criticize me, but he will say, Lev, you should take it, tone it down a little bit, knock it off a little bit. I would say, thank you for telling me that. So this is how we evolve, to be able to tell someone, to share our feelings without like saying, I don't want to do it. Let me tune you out. You expelled from the group because you're not a nice person. Click you out. That's it. We don't have this feeling. So I think we are microcosmos of messianic times.
That's frightening. The four of us are gonna,
Ambitious. I don't know. Maybe.
Not
Yeah,
only
I
four,
think-
know these
indeed,
things.
and
How do we know?
others.
How do you know? How do you know, Lev? Prove it.
I tell you how, when I spoke on
What's
my
your proof?
screen froze for a moment. So I figured that must have been a sign.
Well, let me ask you a question from medicine, and Reuven will know the answer. What is the difference between God and a surgeon?
God is the surgeon.
Yes.
Can I attempt to guess?
If you like. There's only one answer.
God has infinite time and infinite tools to make a surgery. The surgeon has limited time, limited tools, and the surgeon
you're
has,
being too academic.
wait.
No.
The
You
surgeon has
obviously
limited-
don't know any
Hey,
surgeons.
hold
God
on.
Reuven,
doesn't
tell me the
have
answer.
God
Surgeon-
doesn't have malpractice.
No, surgeon has limited time, limited instruments, but he has to do a surgery by next Tuesday.